We are doing episode 18. I'm your host, Szerro. With me, as always, I have the wonderful finger gun slinger himself, Akamaru Red.
Hello everyone, what's up?
Not much, man. How are you? How you doing?
I'm doing very well actually. Very excited. We have I feel a lot of stuff to talk about. We don't usually talk about tournaments a lot, but this week was the bomb just came yesterday. I was so excited posting on announcements everywhere on Twitter. So I'm excited for that. Other than that, I'm just normally doing my daily missions.
Hmm.
I made it 6,000 points. For you that don't know yet, I never made it to Grandmaster, just because
Still
I
no?
don't,
That's funny.
nope. I
I thought the
because
first
I
season
don't,
you had the first
no,
in
no.
Wonderland Dreams.
I just have not slammed enough games to make it to GM. I always try new decks or try new lists, and then I just can't sit through a playthrough and like slam enough games to make it. It's
Hmm.
almost always getting close to it, but then at the end of the month I get extra lazy,
Hmm.
and I just don't get it.
I just try to keep myself going at I like to keep myself at a good pace. So if I'm halfway through the month, I like to be around halfway to Grandmaster. And that way, once the month is over, I just don't have to worry about it for the next 2 months.
I guess I don't see it as being important. I just don't care. I saw being master important, but
Hmm.
like grandmaster, I don't value it as much as master.
It's
I,
a
I just use that time to learn.
it's a huge time commitment, and I like for me, I like to do it partially because of bragging rights, but you necessarily don't really need the bragging rights for that.
Yeah.
So, but
Actually,
mhm,
that's probably another reason because even if I made it, I wouldn't use it as bragging rights just
mhm,
because it's not my personality
mhm.
s- to like rub it in your face. I've never rubbed in anyone's face that I made anything in Shadowverse,
So,
even though I did make some
so,
things.
so
But
you
I've never like, no, you need to listen to me because I have this badge that tells you that I'm second place and first place. And no,
so what you're telling me is when you got back home from the world championship, you didn't just go to everyone at work and just knock things out of their hand and be like, "What?" No.
nope. I went to my normal daily job life, and
Hmm.
my boss was very excited. She was asking all questions about Japan, how that was. Like my students were also very excited, and I was just normally asking and answering math questions, just like every single day.
It's like nothing ever changed.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, it didn't. I mean, it changed in Japan, but
Hmm.
in my city,
Hmm.
local town, country, nothing changed.
Hmm.
No one asked me. I wasn't a popular superstar. I was featured in the newspapers or anywhere else. I'm just normally and chilling.
Just Aka. So, all right. So we mentioned it just a moment ago, but we got a lot of tournaments coming up. We got a whole lot of tournament announcements that came up. The most important one, obviously, is NGE, right? So
Hell yeah.
what what's your favorite part about this NGE announcement that they've done so far?
My favorite part is that I can actually play all the qualifiers now. So there's no more people were complaining they were getting lazy because as soon as you qualified on a weekend, you couldn't play on any other weekend. So me and the boys last season, we played nothing. We
Hmm.
could not play a single qualifier. So we just had to sit and watch for 4 weeks, I think. And now I'm excited to play every round, and it also feels like World Grand Prix because every weekend we'll have a different format.
So
So I'm excited.
last season, the way NGE worked, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was the 4 weeks of the open qualifier, right? And then
Yeah,
after that, there were 2 weeks of a round robin, and then after
yeah.
that, there were 2 weeks of the
Uh,
top eight, right?
there were 5 weeks of round robin.
5 weeks of round robin. That
Yeah,
lasted a lot longer than I remember it being.
yep.
So it was.
Because
Mhm.
sorry for interrupting. Because this expansion uh is getting late. I don't know if you remember, but last expansion, like we still had the PDK going on, so it was like 3 days or 4 days after the expansion hit, there was like a qualifier, something like that, something crazy like that. This month is like 20 days into the month, and we still have not seen NGE being played.
Well, we're gonna see it in just a couple of days because the first NGE is going to be what on the 20
It's this
the
weekend.
20th. Yes, it's on the 20th. For North America, NGE is going to be on the 20th and it's going to be on the 21st for EU. And
Yeah.
then this season is actually the first time we're having NGE in anywhere other than North America and EU, and we're having it in what is that actually called? SEA. It's the Southeast
It's
Asia and
South
Oceanic area,
Oceanic. Yeah, yeah. Southeast Asia, Oceanic. Exactly.
and they're having theirs on the 26th.
From what I gathered, they have less weeks to play in. It's still the same. So I think we can go in depth
Hmm.
of the format. So the exchange last season we had weeks of like you mentioned, 3 weeks actually of qualifiers, and top players qualified to the round robin phase. We also had 6 auto qualified players from the previous season. We don't have that anymore. So
Hmm.
you're gonna see all your favorite players duking it out from the beginning to the end. So and then we had the round robin phase where you would get like you play against everyone else and you'd get like wins and losses, and depending on your score, you top your group. So it was two groups, 6 people on each group,
Hmm.
and the top 3 players would qualify to the top six, which was the regional finals, and that those were across 2 weekends. So the first weekend qualifies the top three, and then the other weekend qualifies the grand champion. So this year we're doing it differently. We have 6 weeks of qualifiers, and you collect points. The more successful you are, the more points you'll gain. And the top 8 players from the scoreboard will qualify to the regional finals.
How do you feel about this change? That now we're doing it more of a point based format. I think NGE was initially a points based format, and then they changed it up for a bit, and now we're back to that.
Yeah, I'm not experienced with the first season of NGE because I wasn't playing Shadowverse competitively,
Hmm.
so I can't really say which one is better, but I'm excited for new things. I just love new challenges. I love to challenge myself, and I think that this will pose uh will show you the more consistent, the more skillful players because they'll be constantly on top. They'll be performing well. I think that what excites me the most is the different formats we'll have across the seasons. We will have rotation, unlimited, and take two. So I believe it's 4 weeks of rotation, 1 week of unlimited, 1 week of take two.
Yeah, and
So that reminds me of World Grand Prix,
mhm.
and I really want to play that format.
So how it's going to end up being is actually the first 2 weeks of the open qualifier are going to be rotation. The third week is going to be take two. Fourth week is going to be unlimited, and then we go back to 5 and 6 being rotation again. So I think that's pretty cool that we're gonna. The way that this is going to evolve is we're going to see the rotation metagame the first 2 weeks. We're going to take a break and we're going to see how everything changed in week 5 to 6. And I think that might even be in between. There might be a nerf in between that happening too. So things might be really different.
And what's really cool is that nothing is settled. So back last season, the uh last week or the last 2 weeks of round robin, you'd be like, oh, we already know who's about to qualify. There's not a lot of decisions to go on. But this year, since it's a point system, you might see players go neck and neck. Like last season, last week, sorry, the last week can decide like the 8 players could not make it maybe because 20 points, if you make it to first place, 20 points is actually a lot of points. You can jump right into the top 8, so it's gonna be like really close, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's a lot of skilled players. Last season, or qualifiers for EU, unfortunately, were not seen with good eyes just because the known players could not play on them. So people were like, ah, this isn't as good as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So now NGE is pushing super hard for the most competitive experience for the viewers and for the players.
Well, one of the biggest criticisms, if I remember, or maybe criticism is the right word, but one of the things people wanted was to go back to this this qualifier style where you get your points and whoever has the most points gets in. That seems to have been a very just a way that people like to play that was taken away, and now we're going back to that.
How do you feel? Uh, what do you feel is the ups and downs of that? Do you
So
believe there are any ups or downs for that?
when you have a 6 week qualifier like this, so it rewards the players who are able to play consistently every week. Like say for instance, somebody who's in first place or doing like really well. They've been in top 8 the entire time, and then week 6, there was a disaster in the family or something, and they just can't play in one of the weeks, or they can't play in 2 of the
Yeah.
weeks. They've just all their work just kind of goes to waste, and that's an unfortunate side effect of something like this. But I think it also tests the players who are the most dedicated and the players who want this the most, because if you wanted it the most, you played in all those weeks. Granted, something terrible doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that example. Some week you might not be able to play on it, and that may affect your score line a
Hmm.
lot. So I think that looking forward, they'll maybe make an hybrid. These format and the last format. Maybe they'll give a slot for the most consistent player, for the one that gains the most points, and maybe they'll open up uh, qualifiers that qualify. Maybe the first place will be auto qualified or something like that, and the other ones will discuss with points. Just because of what you mentioned, it gives an opportunity to the people that to the person that doesn't have all the time in the world, or maybe they just have this one opportunity to make it, and they give it their all, and they make it to first place, and then they realize that it wasn't enough. I still need to go for it again and again and again,
I, I
and
can't I can't remember who it was. I think he ended up going to the World Championship as well. He was from EU, the EU side of NGE last season. I seem to remember him saying like, "I don't have too much time to play, but I'm incredible. I'm really happy that I was able to perform the way I did." Do you remember his name? Do you remember who I'm talking about?
The players from the U side were Pain and Meow and
It was
myself.
Meow.
The
It was
I
Meow that
went
I'm
to,
thinking of.
yeah, double GB. Oh
And
yeah, because he was studying. Yeah, he was
hmm
studying as well.
so,
And he yeah.
mhm. So a format like this might do him a disservice, or maybe he'll still be able to continue and perform in it as well. We'll see.
Yes. So
Hmm.
it so basically it rewards consistency. It rewards skilled decision making, but it punishes lack of time. So I'm kind of scared. I've had to change my schedule just to make it on Sunday.
Hmm.
But I have good news. I'll be able to make it. I just hope that uh, I'm prepared for it because I have not played in such a big tournament for a really long time.
Hmm.
The last time I played on it was 2 seasons ago, about 5 or 6 months ago.
Hmm.
I recently played on the what's the name of it? The Morningstar League. I played on that one. That was really tiring for me because I played like 8 or 9 rounds, and I was not used to that, having to play for like 5 hours, something like that. So
I
yeah,
I've played many a Morningstar League on my phone, and those are so difficult to
ah,
do.
yeah, I played on my tablet
You
the
played on.
entire time. I was on my living room. Yeah,
How do you like the Battlefy client on the tablet and phone?
it's awful. You can't send messages. Like some messages don't show up. You need to manually go to your chat room or the gaming room. Like I don't know what you would call it. You
Hmm.
need to go into the bracket and then click on your name just to see the room and ban and stuff like that.
There have
It's awful.
been some tournaments that I played on my phone where like I know my round is about to start, so I'll go and check, and it'll just be like, it doesn't show me the
Oh,
notification that my round started, so I keep waiting there and I keep refreshing the page, and then like 10 minutes later I just get a notification saying I lost. I'm like, wait, I was here.
yeah, that's I kept manually going into my room, and sometimes I'd see 2 minutes deadline, so I needed to check in. I'm like, wait, what? And then it notifies you. It notified me, and it kept saying 5 minutes to check in. I'm like, wait, I'm clicking on it for like 10 times, and it's not working. So, yeah, let's not talk about. So basically, I just wanted to mention that, yeah, like having such a big tournament, because we're gonna do this 6 times now. Like
Hmm.
it's 6 qualifiers of 6 or 7 hours qualify. I still remember the first time I played on NGE,
Hmm.
and we had like 60 players, and it took me the entire day from it was like 3 p.m. to 10 or 11 p.m. The last game I played against is 11 p.m. And I went from the winners bracket. Do you remember the gauntlet that Teji had to go through just to make it to top six? And then it took so long.
Yeah, and then he just barely didn't make it, right?
Yeah.
I forget
And I
who.
had to wait
Hmm.
like 3 hours because so when you make it successfully on the winners, do you remember that? Then you
Hmm.
drop to losers. You have to wait like 4 hours for all the losers.
Yeah, if you're on the winners bracket the whole way up, and then you have to wait for losers bracket to catch up to you, and that can take a long time too.
Yeah.
But um, just just at the very least, bare minimum, I'm very excited to just play Shadowverse every week to have a good tournament to play in again, because tournaments are fun, man.
Do you think that we will see the same players on stream every week?
Mm, I'm not sure. I think we're probably going to see some of the same players show their face a few times. Like the consistent players, I believe, will be up. Maybe some of the people who have a little bit more of a name behind them might get a little bit of like a crowd favorite kind of pick. Um, but other than that, I'm really curious to see like maybe we'll see some new people, some new faces show up and do really well in the events too. What I
That is
find,
something I'll miss.
hmm
Getting to see familiar faces. I think.
hmm one thing that I find kind of funny, actually, since you mentioned, do you think we'll see some new faces? Is in the instructions for the turn for NGE, it says players who have a working webcam and appear live on Skype during a broadcast match during this phase will earn 1,000 bonus vials.
I find that so cool.
I find that awesome. If you're willing to get yourself on a webcam, you do well in the event, you want to show your face, you get yourself any rare you want, just on the house.
Craft that Phantom Dragon. Just complete your collection.
You need the third one, man. You need that third Phantom
Also,
Dragon.
first place, Mr. Zero.
Hmm.
How do you feel about making that sweet, sweet? What's your favorite card? I forgot about
So,
it. What's
so
your?
you're asking the glorious Star Phoenix himself.
Oh, the Glorious Star Phoenix. How do you feel about making that Glorious Star
S-
Phoenix animated? How do you
So
feel about that?
so if you get first place in any of the qualifying weeks, right? You get 30,000 vials just as a prize, and
Just like that.
just right there, 30K. Enjoy, have fun, and
I know someone that's gonna be paying attention to that. We might be laughing at it, but Mr. Jackie will be pushing for that prize because he really wants that.
oh, there are definitely players who want those vials, and like, hey man, I want those vials too. I want myself if I ever win that, the moment I get those vials, they're going directly into a Sears Globe, and that Sears Globe is
What
going
a
directly into my Star Phoenix.
what a pretentious little bastard you are. Like you remind me of those. You remind me of those American oil. What do you
Lo-
call it?
Oil
Oil
lords.
oil lords. Exactly. They're like they're using their expensive suits. They're eating their expensive. And meanwhile, their children, poor children on the streets, begging for food, begging for corn or lettuce, anything that they can eat. And you're like, there, oh man, this steak is too rare for my
They-
taste.
they're begging like, I need my third Ectar, man, please.
I need my 30,000 vials so I can have a collection. So I can make it to first place. Wait, can I make it to first place without a collection?
Azure is asking in the chat, are you implying that he didn't animate all three already? I wish I had three animated Star Phoenixes. I'd be able to go to sleep a very happy man every night.
Didn't you wail enough for it already?
Mhm. Dude,
Disappoint me.
I like wailed enough to get myself a pretty substantial collection, and like that's it. But the Sears Globes, like, it's so much. You have to file so many cards to get a Sears Globe.
It's what, like 30 legendaries? Right? Cause like
It's
1,000
a legendary
each one.
dust for 1,000, yeah. So it's one Sears Globe is 30 legendaries. Like, it's too
Wow.
rich for my blood, man.
I don't remember pulling 30 legendaries in like what, maybe 7 months since I pulled my last legendary to make it 30 in total. That's a lot of time. A lot of packs. Wow.
It's a lot, like, but it's so
Oh,
worth
but
it.
Okay. So real quick, I'll miss the round robin. Okay, I see a lot of people saying that I don't like the round robin because it's only one game. I know Bottles wasn't a fan of it.
Hmm.
Some other players weren't a fan of it. I'm a fan of it because I myself am not I'm like 50-50 on being a viewer and being a player. I love watching round robin format just because I know there's going to be consistent games going on. I can look forward to games, like I can create expectations. I can see like Jay-Z against Lest, or Jay-Z against Bottles, or Jay-Z against Underwear. I know I'm going to see those epic games, right? Instead of being like, oh, this final is like random player A versus random player B that I don't know yet. I'm not saying it's bad. I can get to know new players that I can be excited for, but it's just not having that format.
What I
Because back then we had both formats. We had unknown players playing, and then we had the round robin. It was
mhm.
kind of cool.
What I like about the round robin is that it tests a player versus how they play against multiple different play styles. Not to say that the open format won't do that either, because obviously you're playing against a whole bunch of different players. But in a round robin, everyone in that round robin, for lack of a better term, is going to be playing against each other. So you're going to
Yeah.
have like the best players in that group rise up to the top. Where I mean, I suppose the same thing does happen in an open style event, but I think it feels a little different.
No, I think it's more like expectations. Like I knew I was gonna play Season A on the last week of the round robin, so I was like building up to this moment, and it was brilliant, and I savored it all the way, and it was so juicy. It was so good. So not having moments like that kind of makes me reminiscent of the past and nostalgic about that. And there was some insane like clashes and stories, like rivalries, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and Fatina, we kind of created like this kind of rivalry because we played against each other on the grand finals twice.
Twice, yeah,
So
that's intense.
I'm gonna miss that. I'm honestly hope I can face him again on a final, one of the qualifiers.
Mm-hmm. For the
It's
best of three.
extremely likely, so yeah, but it's extremely unlikely. That's why I missed that, because it was more likely for me to play against Fatina than it is now, because I might be on the other side of the bracket, or we might not even make it to the top.
Mm-hmm. Well, you still have 6 weeks to queue into Fatina once or twice, so
Yeah, and I won't. It won't be face to face, man. Come on, the finger guns.
you won't get to have that cultured BM the way you want. Though you might, maybe you will. Maybe you'll get to be one of those feature matches. It's possible.
Yeah.
If with a game like, if in an event you two were to go pretty far in the bracket, you two, since you've already been a feature match before, and that match is something that's already been seen before, the best of three might be something that they might prioritize to show on the camera.
No, they're always gonna do the same thing. So they will make the tournament normally go like an online tournament, and then when you get to certain parts of the lower bracket and the winners bracket, it becomes the stream games, just like last season.
Hmm.
So when you get to winners semifinals and loser semifinals and maybe winners finals, I don't remember, but something like that, you'll stop your tournament, and then you'll only play when an admin tells you to, and they'll stream those games. So this will also make it more difficult to the casters, because I don't know if you remember the show, but yeah, we need to remind ourselves that NGE is mostly a show as well. It's not only a tournament for players; it's also a show.
Hmm.
But they're putting on a show for viewers. So casters had information, perfect information. They knew who was gonna play against who. They knew the lineups 3 days before. Now it's all gonna be on on the spot. It's all gonna be live, all in the moment. And I read an announcement that they're actually going to push for a live side by side casting. Rainy and Exodium will be
Hmm.
how do you call it, on local? I think it's in local. I
It's
don't know how you say that.
local. They're just gonna be
Local.
doing
Okay,
the.
local.
They're gonna be casting the thing together in the same venue, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's gonna test them. It's gonna make them better casters, or it's gonna be a train wreck. We don't
Hmm.
know. We will see. Everything's exciting. It's everything's new.
And that's, yeah, that and that's all this talking has just been for NGE. Like, it's just like on top of NGE, as always we have the smaller community events. We have the Disastra Monkey of the Week. We have um what's it called, Morningstar League that happens, and then we also have the HSK events that we host. But also now new is the Zotac Cup, and I believe this is. Do you know how often these are going to be? I'm not entirely sure if these are weekly or if these are
Uh,
monthly.
I This is called Zotac Cup number 1. So I
Hmm.
assume there's gonna be more, right?
Yeah, like
Called
I just don't
Event
know how
1.
often they will be.
Yeah, I have no idea. They haven't explicit said that. They are making it for the first time. It's kind of cool. I've never seen Zotac name before. So I Googled a bit, and it's a company that deals with hardware for computers, and
Hmm.
I think they made some Hearthstone tournament. So I was excited to see that some people from Hearthstone transition to Shadowverse. They're trying to make a tournament for Shadowverse, of course, with all the support of players like Shadow Nexus and Cygames, right? So,
Hmm.
but they have not announced if they're gonna repeat it on a weekly or monthly basis.
But this event is going to be non region locked, right? So I think
Yeah.
basically anyone, maybe I'm wrong, but I think mostly everyone can join this event.
Some regions are not available to play on. I think Korea is not available, but yeah, most of the regions you're used to see will be able to play. America, Europe, some countries of Asia, Latin America, I think. So yeah.
So it seems like it's nice that we're gonna have another event with a somewhat consistent prize pool happening just consistently. More things to play in are always good things. One thing that I find a little strange, actually no, wait, this might not be true. I was gonna say I think Zotac Cup and the North American NGE were on the same day, but I actually think that's not true. Yeah, they're a day apart.
Yeah,
They're a
yeah.
day
It's
apart.
Friday, it's Saturday. Yeah.
So yeah, so this Friday, 11 p.m. GMT is going to be the Zotac Cup. So if you guys are looking to play in that, definitely get on that. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah. So it's 11 p.m. GMT for EU, and it's 6 p.m. EST, so Eastern Standard Time.
Do you think we're gonna see people testing out their NGE lineups in that type of event, or
Abs- I,
do you think we're
Hell
gonna see
yeah.
some spicy
Uh,
memes?
I think it's also $70 for first place, $70, and there's a community pricing as well. So I think that people most likely test stuff out for NGE just because it's a day apart. So if you're successful in that format, you're probably going to be successful the next day because people won't have time to prepare themselves and change too much, especially because it's going to be locked, right?
Yeah, you have to submit your
And
decks on Friday.
exactly. So NG will lock your lineup before Saturday, so it's Friday. You're gonna be locked. So you're gonna probably play the same lineup. So if you're successful, you're gonna get that boost of confidence. I think you should definitely play on that if you're gonna play on NG. Unfortunately for me, it's too late. But if I could, I'd play on it, and I advise you to play on it. And trust me, it will help you a lot to prepare for the
I'm
next day.
I'm looking forward to that. I definitely want to be playing in the Zotac Cup. Um, what I like about the Zotac Cup is the fact that since it's not region locked, there are places like some of the South American countries, like they can't play in things like NGE. This gives them something to play in. And I think that's before all I could really think of that they had was the Morningstar League and Monkey of the Week. And maybe there were some other small events every now and then, but really nothing with a substantial prize pool. And now this is something for them to play in.
Yeah, it's uh uh we're happy to see that they expanded NGE expanded to Southeast and Oceanic. Hopefully they'll get to Latin America. I mean, we've been pushing this so many times. Hopefully they listen to us. We have our boy Mr. Dominus. We always push for Latin America because we know he's a beast. Actually, Adam, you were telling me something before we started the show about how big of a monster this man is.
He astounds me every time. Like the season is right now we're only on the 17th, so it's been what, like 2.5 weeks. As
Yeah.
of yesterday, this man was already grandmaster in both formats. I don't know how he does that. Like
Yeah, and not only that, he actually knows a lot about the formats because he was telling us all the information about both formats, and he's really good player. And God damn it, I can't make it to one. You made it to two.
And then my favorite is then if you ask him like about anything about the format or whatever, he'll be like, "Man, I suck at this game." Like,
Mr. Dominus.
Dominus the
Oh,
Beast.
speaking of formats,
Mhm.
are we okay to transition?
I think
Smooth
I think so.
transition.
Let's just like casually segue into the next part. So what do you want to talk
Segue.
about?
Formats. Okay, so
Hmm.
you and me both. We are more experienced with rotation, right?
Yeah, I'm still
So
trying to get to Grandmaster and rotation, and I don't want to touch
yeah,
unlimited until I do that.
yeah. Especially because NGE, it's already announced that the first week is rotation. So
Hmm.
since we are both more experienced with rotation, how about we start from there, and then if we have time, we'll dive on to unlimited, vengeance blood, and then maybe take two. Mr. Adam is not a very experienced take two player, so I guess I can teach him something. I can teach you.
Bestow upon me all of your take two knowledge, Mr. Akamaru.
So, how do you feel about rotation? Hit me
Uh,
up.
Dude, like I said it last time, I might have said it before. Games just last till turn 10. It's awesome. I love it.
Yes.
We get these slow control games. I I know I talked about this last week, but King Elephant is still just my jam. I've been loving it. Um, what else? I've been dabbling in Haven now, and I found a really neat list that I found that I'm just like really loving too.
K- you,
Hmm.
you don't want to elaborate
I
on
mean,
that even,
I can elaborate. I can
or
elaborate. I,
you can save your aces.
it's it's pretty greedy. Like what I've been doing is like I feel like a lot of the decks right now, like everyone's trying to play a slow game. So one thing that I've been teching that has been doing like wonders for me is just Noise, of the Red Branch Knight, I think his name is.
Oh yeah, you tilted Teshi so much with
Oh
noise.
my god, I loved it. It
Yeah,
was
he was salty.
there was one game he was so upsetty from that. There was one game where I'm at 7 HP, he's got two Aegises on board, and I also have two Aegises on board. It was the most degenerate screen cap I've ever taken.
Yeah,
And I passed the turn to him at 7 HP, facing down two Aegises, and he can't kill me because of Noise. It's so good.
feels bad, man. So I played on Morningstar League.
Hmm.
I made it to, was it sixth place? Something like that. I played like hour-long rounds just because everyone is playing Forest, Dragon, and Naven, and Shadow. So I was playing really long, grindy games. I was
Hmm.
playing my Control Blood, Sap package, baby. So my plan was to kill the Dirt Root, and I did it. I 5-0 Dirt Root. Unfortunately, not everyone was playing Dirt Root. I expected everyone to be playing it. I was wrong.
What
But even then, I was having fun playing Control Blood, surprising a lot of people with my Zeus's. So it was
Z-
fun.
Zeus, I think, is a card that just this expansion, since games are getting to turn 10 so much more often, and since Sahaquil is as much of a beast as she is right now, Zeus is a card that's just gotten so much better.
The reason why I love Zeus is that there's only two efficient answers to it. So the most efficient one is Bahamut. The second most efficient one are the answers that are good against Bahamut. So if your opponent is using good answers that are good against Bahamut on your Zeus's, and you already did 5 damage to face or value traded, fine. My Bahamut can finish the game now
Hmm.
because you're spending your lilies or your Bahamuts or Scythers on my Zeus. That's why I love Zeus so much. I play Zeus, and they're like, "Oh shit! Now I need to deal with it, and then I can slam my Bahamuts."
With the
Yay!
with this Haven list, one thing I have definitely noticed is nobody expects you to go Aegis into Zeus. They just don't see it coming.
Exactly. No, no one thinks about why would you play Zeus, right? It's like they're used. The same thing happened. They're used to to Control Blood not having a win condition. They're used to like, oh, you're gonna play your spawn. I see your spawn. I can react to it. I can heal over. a good enough health point, so I'm not dead to your spawn. Oh, I see your Emerald. I know you have 4 damage. Maybe you don't have 5 damage. Well, now I have this Sa Zeus into Zeus, or Zeus into Zeus. Because they're like, you're not in Vengeance, you don't play Blood Moon, so I know I'm not gonna take 4 damage. Well, you were wrong.
You're taking 5 instead.
Taking 5. Or maybe even 5 into 5. Just because I'm crazy.
3 Eagle Man, 1 Aegis. Somebody says in the chat.
Oh, those were the days. Like, my brother kept playing Neutral Haven,
Mm-hmm.
just because he had a budget list, so he kept playing it. He was like, "Play Aegis on Neutral Haven. Neutral Haven is very good." I'm like, "Bro, chill. We're playing Starforge Legends. We don't play neutrals anymore."
Earlier in the week, I think it was actually exactly a week ago. I was messing around with Haven, and one thing I was playing was Eagle Man's a 6-drop, right? So in the 6-drop slot, I was playing Eagle Man because if you Sahak Wheel, that's 2 procs for your Eagle Man.
Oh yeah, that's smart. We smart boys.
It didn't work as well as I wanted it to, but it was neat. It was fun.
You mentioned something that I want to talk about. How do
Okay.
you feel about Saaquil? Tell me from 0 to 10. You can use infinity if you want.
I can
How good
use
is Saaquil at the
dude
moment?
like
Yes.
so the way I see it is Shadowverse has like these formats and the formats just dominated by like specific cards. Bahamut has just for the longest time been one of those cards. Sahakweil is just casually chilling as like I don't know if it's crazy to say she's better than Bahamut because Bahamut is Bahamut, but
Yeah.
but Sahakweil can pull your Bahamut, so maybe like it's not only you have a Sahakweil, you also have a Bahamut, so it's both cards in one.
She can also. Okay, think about it. She could be a Zeus on turn 7, or she could be an Israfil Evo
She
on turn 7. What?
she's
I can Evo my Israfil on turn 7? You're telling me that? And if I play Dragon, I can Evo my Israfil on turn 5? What?
it's so much tempo that that card gives you. Just gives you a massive effect that is either going to push tons of face damage with your Zeus, it's going to remove whatever with your Israfil. Like
It,
it's quality. Like that's all the only word I can use for that is just quality.
it's class, finesse.
Hmm.
It's you don't even spend. Tell me how long ago was it? Okay, tell me how long was it since you've seen a 7-drop that clears boards without requiring an Evo? And I'm
Conflagration.
looking at you, Hector. What else?
Conflagration.
Conflict. That's not a 7-drop.
It's
That's a
just
7 spell. Tell me. Okay, tell me, Iktar. Tell me. No, I'm kidding. So
there's
the
that.
last
There's
time we
like
had
the
a
new
7
John.
drop that didn't use Evos and cleared board, it got nerfed.
And
And it was very strong.
we have
Saaquil just feels like the new Hector for me. It's just so
but
strong.
the thing is she's not the new one because she's been here for so long. But now she's
Yeah.
just on
But
top.
but now we can play Saaquil on every deck because we actually make it to turn 7. Yes.
What I want to do is I I really want to play just find a way to fit Zell and Dragon Singer or Draconic Singer in my Dragon decks. That way I can go back to playing Saha Baha combos.
What's the Draconic Singer? Is that the one that reduces the cost of Zell?
Draconic Singer is a 5-mana 4/4 with fanfare. Reduce the cost of something in your hand by 1, or a Dragoncraft card in your
Okay.
hand by 1, something like that.
Okay, I love Saaquil very much, but I don't know if I want to deep into that realm again.
Oh,
The Zell
I don't
Ouroboros shenanigans.
I
I
loved
had
that. It
enough.
was so much fun. Saha
But then the games don't make it to turn 10 because you lose on 7. I mean, on Dragon's turn 7. Your
I
turn 7.
I feel like I got a question for you. Which do you think was well, you didn't play too much during the Saha Baha times,
No,
right? You didn't.
no,
See,
no.
I
I
think
think I lost to it once, and it was Zell Ouroboros. I never got Saba.
I actually like I feel like losing to Saha Baha Zel was it felt better than losing to Queen, in my opinion. Because I feel like with Saha Baha Zel, you need the same amount of cards in your hand, but you also
You
need an
need an
Evo.
Evo. Yeah.
Like,
And also Queen is like 18 damage.
and you're also
So,
just
well, it was. It was.
well, it's still what it caps at 16 now with Ozzy Daka, right?
Yeah,
The
now it's 8+8. Yeah.
the most you could do with
Arya.
Saha Bahazel was 13. And if you needed to do that, they needed to have they need to not have a board on top of it.
Yeah. It does. It feels sad to lose to Queen.
I,
I think side games should change combos of. I think the most combo-ish you could do is like 10. I think it should be like 10ish, right?
yeah,
Because if you get like combo by 18, there's like almost no counterplay unless you have like burst healing.
yesterday I triple King Elephanted a dragon in the same turn for like
Oh
27 damage. Like, was any of that necessary?
no, no. Uh, how do you think they could change that? Do you think they need to design more cards like Noise? Do you think they will start seeing more of those cards?
I think like I think like Elta was the start of it. Like Elta's a card that we haven't seen too much, but I think Elta has a very powerful effect. Um,
Oh yeah,
and I think like with cards like Noise, cards like Elta, cards like Mask of the Black Death, where because in Shadowverse you can't interact with your opponent during their turn, but cards like Noise and cards like Mask of Black Death in a way let you do that. And I think we might see more cards like that to allow or to mitigate if we're gonna have these like degenerate 20 damage combos, which I'm all for. Like I don't mind them. I just like being
yeah.
able to interact with them.
Having a counterplay other than healing,
Mm-hmm.
because at the moment it's the only thing you can do is like healing. You can ward yourself as well, but it's not like warding. Some people say it's like when you played Roach, right?
Mm-hmm.
We both played Roach a lot, and we're like, oh, there's wards. Actually, there's not, because you playing a ward, you're not even stopping my combo. You're just delaying me one turn, which in fact gives me one extra mana, so I can do even more damage. So you play a ward, I can Sylvan Justice or Cassiopeia. You play Death's Breath, I can Cassiopeia Barrage, and then Cassiopeia again, right? You're just delaying it. You're not even advancing your win condition.
And
You're not stopping the combo by ward. So
even like ward, like what's that gonna do against a king elephant or a seraph?
exactly. So that's a good point. The way to interact with your opponent, we also see Chronos, another new effect that interacts with your opponent. Opens up some mill options. We saw there was a Scrim disaster against Voidless Summoners.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing a mill deck. The first ever, I guess, semi-competitive mill deck in Shadowverse, possibly.
Nah, man, Control Blood was a mill deck.
No, man, you were a mill deck. You were a mill deck.
Back when I would play against like old school PDK, all I'd have ways to win the game and close it out if I wanted to, but I had no interest in that. I want to see the fatigue card come up and kill my opponent.
See, that's where I'm different from you. My control blood is all packing Zeus's. It's all going face. We have 3 Emeraldas, 3 Zeus's, actually 2, because I haven't crafted the third one, because I don't have vials.
Oh man, I was playing 2 Mr. Full Moons like you weren't doing anything, man. I'm gonna stop whatever you're doing.
But you don't stop, because my Zeus is a 110 Bane. You know? Like Bane followers have like infinity attack, right? Because they
Mhm.
kill everything, man. They
Bane
even
is
kill all.
like Bane's is like yeah, it kills like what Kuhulin, it kills Albert even when they're
Yeah,
invulnerable.
yeah.
That's
The thing.
that's a strong
Why
effect.
can't? How do you feel about zero play point Bane 4/5?
It's pretty good, but how do you feel about 0 play point 99 Storm that ignores Ward?
Don't be silly. Oh, you're 9/9. Actually, I won my MSL games by
Mhm.
playing the elephant and dealing with my opponent's board, and they were like, "Oh man, you beat me."
The removal elephant?
How do you deal with a 9/9? Like, come on.
The removal elephant is like such a sad play, but it gets there sometimes. Sometimes it gets the job done.
So, okay, another thing we can talk about.
Mhm.
So we talk about Dragon a bit. We talk about Avon. We talk about Blood, Forest. So, isn't something missing?
Uh,
Where's Swordcraft?
where's Sword? Um,
Where's Swordcraft?
I don't know. Sword is like I don't see Sword too often on the ladder. When I do, it's either playing like It's always playing something different. I don't know what I'm queuing into whenever I queue into Sword. Like,
I think that Sword became the new. We need Arthur to win or we lose. Also, Dragon just feeds on Sword, man. It feels bad. Like to play Sword against Dragon is so frustrating. I feel.
one thing that I find pretty interesting about Sword is like I've been having success with cards like Noise and like that style effect. And Sword has a card that a lot of people like kind of make fun of called Roland. And Roland is I like to consider it much worse Noise, but the thing is Roland affects your like followers too, unlike Noise. And I think Roland, if we start moving into more of this style game where we're seeing more and more Aegises and we're seeing more and more elephants and more of these win conditions, Sword I feel like actually has the tools to fight these things off.
But I think until Bahamut rotates, I don't think effects like that because when you, like you mentioned, combo dragon, Arya Azi combo, elephant, you can play Bahamut on those decks. As soon as people are like, "Oh, Roland is the thing," that's why I don't like Roland because as soon it's one of those cards. As soon as Roland is broken, you can easily kill it
Oh
off the
yeah.
map. It's like Mr. Fool. People are like, "No, Mr. Fool is the real thing. We can shut down this and this." As soon as Mr. Full Moon becomes a thing, it gets out of the map. It's like, oh, as
It's
soon
very
as
easy to
Sarah
play
became
around if you need to.
exactly, it's one of those cards that will never be. It will never. It's never gonna define a meta
I,
because
I
it's so easy.
I wouldn't say never because Bahamut might rotate out one day, and we don't know what'll
But
happen after that.
isn't Roland rotating?
Roland, I
On
think, was
Tempest,
Tempest of the
Bahamut.
Gods. I think Roland was Tempest of the Gods, and I think Bahamut is Rise of Bahamut.
I'll check that really fast. Oh yeah, absolutely. So Roland is Tempest.
So we'll have one full expansion with Roland
Oh,
around,
yes, we'll
and
see all the Roland.
I don't know, man. I think in that type of world where we're having because Aegis is also Tempest of the Gods too, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we're gonna have. I'm gonna assume that running around there's gonna be Sephiras, there's gonna be elephants, there's gonna be um, what was it? Aegises, and
Uh,
Roland does well against all those cards.
Yeah, Zeus. No, Zeus is Tempest. Yeah,
Yeah,
Zeus is Azidahaka. Yeah, yeah.
and Queen might
Speak,
still be around too.
speaking of Sabrina, she will stay. She will definitely stay. I think that at the moment, Portalcraft is very strong. If you get the game plan online, we had the HSK Screaming Knight and ML Cats was playing Portal, and it looked very good. Unless, except when he didn't get the Deus Ex train going on.
Hmm.
That deck is really cool to play, dude. We were playing it like as a two-man team. We
Hmm.
were talking. You even were there. We were talking like 3 or 4 turns deep, and you were like, "What's going on?" I didn't even understand a single thing you guys said.
There's so many things going
Pretty
on with
cool.
Portal, and one thing that I do think is like at least when I'm playing Dragon, the card that I'm always afraid of is Saphira. Like I'm
Yeah,
constantly checking how many artifacts has died, how many turns do I think I have before this Saphira is just gonna kill me. And then
yeah,
I'll be playing against this portal and I'll be playing against the portal. They'll get down to like 10 cards left and then they'll just concede. I'm like, oh, he wasn't playing Saphira, nice.
yeah. It's one of those, especially on open decks. It would be interesting to see some portals. It's one of those cards like Tyrant, like Phantom Owl. You have to always keep on in mind that you can get bursted down from the game, bursted out of the game, and also it's you know on in MMOs the engineer class. Do you know that you building contraptions and
Hmm.
Portograph feels like the engineer class. You are able to make different game plans according to different hands. That is really interesting.
Yeah, if you're against like a more aggressive deck, for instance, you can just start putting all of these Grimnirs in your hand that draw you cards. That what's that? That's the ancient artifact, I think.
Yep.
If you're playing against something like a really
Uh,
slow control deck, you can just grab a whole bunch of the storm artifact. If you
yeah.
can, mhm.
There's a radiant artifact. That's the storm. There's analyzing. That's the 2-1. There's the ancient artifact. It's the 3-1 rush, I believe. And then there's the I don't remember the one. Sorry.
I thought ancient artifact was the ward one.
I believe that is the rush one,
That it
but I
might
could be
be.
wrong.
The rush
Great.
one is the only one that doesn't draw a card, right?
Exactly. Oh, sorry. I'm googling it.
Hmm.
Uh, so what about we forgot to talk about Rune.
About Rune, like Rune is doing. I've been seeing. Have you been seeing more Darias lately? I've been seeing more Darias this week.
I'm not seeing Dirt Room. That surprises me. It was so popular the first week. It felt like it was the strong. People were saying on Reddit that it was the meta was still the same, and it was like tier godlike Dirt Room. And now I'm actually surprised that I'm not seeing it a lot.
I'm not upset that I'm not seeing it a lot. Like,
I'm not. I'm just surprised. That's the correct word. Surprised to not
mhm.
see, because I've been used to. I actually hate that deck, so I'm actually tolerated it, and I'm getting used to seeing it on ladder across like 6 months now. It's been ever since I played Shadowverse for NGE. It's been Dirt Room every single week or every single qualifier. So it's surprised to not see it as much now,
Mhm.
especially now that I'm starting to actually enjoy playing it against it. 'Cause I have such a good win rate against it. People are not playing it, and I feel sad.
I like that. I don't know how often we see these, but there we see like more rune lists now, just like kind of splashing dirt cards and dirt effects, like with like the one or two of golem assaults that they sometimes do. I'm not sure if they're still doing that all the time, but I just think that's cool that now we're having like more of this hybrid rune style thing.
Yeah, it's did you see some Japanese player tweeted giant chimera deck? I've been notified
Hmm.
about that because I also was running one. It was playing Oz's with the Fall Grace. Uh,
Oz is with fall from grace. That's
Fall from
interesting.
Grace. Yeah, in the Grand Summoning, and it was very cool to see Oz being played in that list because I was running out of cards a lot, and I didn't. I thought about playing Oz, but I thought it was too expensive for what he was doing.
So wait,
But it's kind of cool.
what do they try to use the fall from grace for? Do they like? Because I remember back around Spawn of the Abyss, people were playing Oz and then Winter's Caprice to turn their Oz into a snowman so that they didn't discard the cards. Do they use it now so that they go Oz and they just turn their Oz into the fallen angel so that they don't
That
discard
might be
cards?
it because I don't know if they're playing. I need to see the list again. I don't know if they're playing spell boost spells. Probably not. But I mean, uh, maybe Bahamut's or Zeus's. We're seeing a lot of those.
I find Fall from Grace to be such an interesting card, and like I don't I still fully don't think we ourselves as the community have figured out what the card really does, but maybe I'm crazy. But I feel like there are so many things you can do with it, like small things, like it removes amulets, like a Canny of the Dragons. I don't know if you've seen that card much, but like it'll remove that. It'll remove. We don't see Seraph isn't even around anymore, but it can get rid of a Seraph. It can get rid of like all these things that are like difficult to deal with. And in something like Forest, right? I was thinking about this yesterday. I hadn't tried it out yet, but in something like Forest, right? You can have your fairy with a brambles behind it attack into something with 1 HP, and then you can fall from
Bounce it.
grace your fairy, and
Oh,
then it has rush. So now you can attack with this
oh,
1/3 rush with lifelink, and it also has the brambles behind it. And
that's kind of cool.
if you just casually have the brambles amulet on the fields, you can turn the amulet into the rush unit as well.
Uh, I, I, yeah, I remember a time where Brambles wasn't as popular or strong as people believe it to be currently, just because we didn't have curves on Forest that allowed us to abuse Brambles as much as we do now. Because we were not playing Water Fairies, we were not playing what's the name of that? Singers. We're not playing Singers. She's so good with
Oh,
Brambles
the pure-hearted
because
singer,
we were
yeah.
playing yeah, we were playing OTK roaches. So now we can actually abuse Brambles, and now players learn how to play Brambles on turns 4 or 5, those crucial turns.
Hmm.
So now Brambles is unthinkable. I was one of the players that hated Brambles, but now it's unthinkable to not use Brambles on a forest deck. So cards like that, Fall from Grace, might fit that category if we have not been able to fully utilize it yet. Kind of like Wizards of Oz. Now we see it explode in every single root deck, but we didn't see it before. Sorry.
When I looked at the card, like when it was first spoiled, the first things I noticed was this is a rare, and like usually to me, I look at cards and I think like not always this isn't it's not the best way to look at your cards, but usually I like to think if a card is a rare, if it's not supposed to be good, it's supposed to be doing something at least interesting. This card is definitely doing something interesting, but it's a 4 mana quote unquote removal spell. It's like soft removal. And this is one of the few cards in the game that can target your own stuff.
Yeah, so I was actually, this is real. I was thinking about replacing my lilies for something else, and I thought about that card just because of it's less expensive than Lily to deal with a Bahamut, right? It,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of does the same thing because you're changing a Bahamut into a 1/1 or a 1/3.
Mm-hmm.
But this can also target Canyon, and
Mm-hmm.
Forest has a really hard time to deal with Canyon. So I was actually seriously looking into that card just as a tech instead of Lily.
I I think that card just gives classes the ability to deal with things that they hadn't previously had the ability to deal with before. Like last expansion, the closest thing we had to something like Fall from Grace was Odin, right? And
Yeah,
that's twice the cost.
and it deals with problematic cards, even though we're not seeing that. But it deals with Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pain in the ass to deal with, and now we actually have a neutral answer. Maybe that's why people are not valuing it as much because we don't see cards like Beauty and the Beast anymore.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I All I know is I don't want to count that card out. I think like when the expansion came out, I might have overhyped it a bit. I remember thinking like I think this might be the strongest card in the expansion. Maybe that was a little too overhyped because it's definitely seeing like no play at all now. But like even if it's not rotation, I think like it's got a home maybe in unlimited somewhere or doing something. I don't know. It does something so so rare that we see in Shadowverse, which is just being able to remove an amulet and a follower.
Yeah, it feels like execution, right? But this one banishes the amulet, so that's why if it's stronger than execution in the sense that you're banishing the thing instead of just destroying it.
Yeah, like Execution wouldn't be able to deal with a Seraph. Execution
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to deal with a Kawi. Execution wouldn't be able to deal with an Ouroboros. But Fall from Grace for 4 mana, unlike Execution for 5, can deal with all these things.
I think it's a very strong card. Also, like when expansions hit, the first cards that people look at are the bombs, are the threats. Then they look into the answers to the threats.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we're just into a very early stage, and at the end of the expansion, we'll start seeing the one off or even two off Angel Fall from Grace.
Or maybe this card, maybe Fall from Grace was put in this expansion now to deal with something that's going to come out in expansion
Yeah.
next expansion or 2 expansions from now because these design teams they think about that. They think about all right, if we're going to make something, we need an answer to it, if not in the expansion that it's coming out with, but around the same time. Like you can't just make a threat and not have an answer to it for at
Yeah.
least an extended period of time.
Yeah, they also like to design the complicated cards to play with before the bombs, so people are actually know how to deal with the bombs before they go like, "Oh no, this is too strong." How? What are you thinking? They're like, we gave you the answers 3 months ago. Just use them correctly, and you'll do fine."
Mm-hmm. I'm still holding out for Mr. Full Moon. I don't know. I
Oh, I've not seen a single Mister Full. The last Mister Full Moon that I saw was on Take Two.
mm-hmm.
It was played the turn before I played my Aegis.
Feels bad, man. It's the thing is,
I
Mr.
just don't like the fact that okay, so think about Fall from Grace and think about Mr. Full because you're changing like Bahamut or Aegis into a 1/9 indestructible. I don't know if that's necessarily
A, gr-
strong because a 1/9 or a 1/13 is actually quite strong.
a 1/9 is gonna kill you like way slower than an 8/9 will, right? But
Yes, but But your Mr. Full Moon is not gonna kill your opponent too fast, too.
You know what? One interaction that I had thought about because I was playing. I had mentioned earlier I was playing this Sahagwil Aegis deck in Haven, and this actually just doesn't work just flat out. In the game it's just the card Into the Looking Glass is just written in a way where it won't work. It says
Oh,
cards that don't cost more than 7 play points. But I was thinking like what would happen if you were to ever Into the Looking Glass a Heavenly Aegis and then Sahagwil it? Like would it get the rush? Would it bounce back to your hand and stuff? And that was just like a food for thought kind of thing that I thought was interesting.
we I think was it Pancake? He posted a video where people were trying that to Sahagwil Aegis, and I think they were able to Sahagwiling
Mm,
is that
I guess so. I guess
call it?
Sahagwiling is a verb now.
Sahagwiling. Oh, we were jokingly calling it skilluquil skill equal
Skilly Quill.
skill equal because we were screaming and we were seeing Sock Wheels a lot, and Sock Wheels refill is probably the strongest play you have on turn 7. So we were like, you have the Skilly Quill. Oh, you do. You have the Skilly Quill. Oh, top left.
You know, one thing that I'm thinking about, a podcast we had done ago a while back. We had mentioned how a lot of classes don't have like good 7 drops, and now like everyone's got Sahagwil now, and everyone's got
Yeah.
like we have Dragon has Zernitra and Dragon has Canyon of the Dragons, and we're
You know
getting
what's
there.
crazy? She's gonna rotate. Sock Wheel is gonna rotate.
Yeah, she's gone next
Bahamut,
expansion.
yeah,
So
she's gone.
a
We
lot.
gotta look for more 7 drops now.
I think once Rise of Bahamut leaves, a lot is gonna change. I think that might be like I think the first change, the what's it called? The first transition into rotation when we lost Standard and Darkness Evolved was the most impactful one. I think when
Yeah.
Bahamut leaves, that is going to be a close second, and then I think from then on, we'll have like more of a contained metagame where the power level isn't like completely off the walls, or maybe I'm just making some bold claims with nothing to back it up.
Yeah, it's just that we were not we are used to dealing with 30 new cards. Sorry, 130 new cards. That is the correct way to say that. 130 new cards that we would figure out and try with, and eventually, in like 2 or 3 weeks, we would test out every single card. Now we lost like 200, 300 cards and got 100 or 200 new cards, so it was a big change. It was a big change. Now we more used to it. So now we lose 100, gain 100. So it's not going to be as impactful. But the first one is still going to be different just because we are used to having a less impact every single set.
I think the sheer fact that Bahamut rotates with Rise of Bahamut going away is going to change so much. And then
Yeah.
on top of just Bahamut, it's going to be Bahamut and Sahagwil. And like I can't think of anything else specifically from Rise of Bahamut, but that's because
Wow.
I didn't like I didn't play when Rise of Bahamut came out, so I don't necessarily know what was from that expansion off the top of my head. But I'm sure there are just tons and tons of more like meta impacting cards from that expansion that we don't even realize are from that.
That is so interesting actually. I'm trying to think how does Dragon come up now? Come back from a losing board state. It has to be the
Frenzy
new
Drake.
dragon. Maybe
Frenzy Drake.
maybe that's why maybe that's why they printed that card.
hmm
Interesting. Thinking about that.
Frenzy Drake is a very powerful card, and it doesn't like it feels like a more reasonable Bahamut because it's just a 7/7 instead of a 13/13.
And it checks for the amount of cards you have in your hand, so it's definitely a more balanced way to not deal. Because Bahamut is like deal infinity damage, right?
but
And
but
that one is just like maybe I have a small hand when I top deck it. Because when you top deck Bahamut, you don't get punished, but that one you do.
yeah, like you need to make sure you're managing your hand size, and that's something that I think we're seeing becoming more of a mechanic too. Like I know
Yeah.
Forest has cared about that for a while, and yeah, now Dragon's got it, and like I can't think of
There's been
specific.
there's been a lot of games on my MSL tournament where I made my dragon opponent or forest opponent overdraw, and I thought to myself, did he lose a win con?
Mm-hmm.
because he mismanaged that. I'm
Yeah,
definitely thinking more about that.
because these games are going grindier. Like that back in Hearthstone, like milling people's win conditions was like a legitimate thing that people would try to do, and now that's something that might become more of a thing we can do in Shadowverse too. So do you have any weird noteworthy decks you want to say before we head off for the day, Aka?
My okay, I have not worked on my giant chimera deck, but she was very good against dragon, so I might try to tune that and play it this week because I have a runecraft daily mission, so expect me to play that.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that, I had Control Blood, which isn't very popular at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and I think those are my two non-standard decks. The rest is pretty much standard. So besides Elephant,
Mm-hmm.
what's your favorite deck at this expansion?
I really like. I'm just gonna call it Greedhaven. I really like it. It's like I'm playing like very little card draw in my deck, but I'm playing so many bombs I don't need them.
Yeah,
It's like with all the Aegises and with all the Aethers, you always have your win condition. Just it feels nice.
I definitely lost to a lot of Avens as Shadow that were playing Bahamut because they play the Aegis. I'm like, it's fine. I play my board. I can still race your Aegis, and then they play Bahamut. I'm like, okay, I'm dead next turn, so I guess I lose.
In,
So
in my list, I'm not. Mhm.
Greedhaven is dangerous. It's hard to play against.
In my list, I'm not playing the Bahamut for better or for worse. I ended up just cutting those for Zeus's because I'm like Bahamut's too slow.
Yeah. No, Zeus kind of does the same thing. He puts him on a clock, like you
Hmm.
mentioned, like taking 13 to face. And sometimes when you play the Aegis, you need to trade with it next turn.
Hmm.
With Zeus, you can actually push 8 to face and trade with the Zeus, which has a better body and has Storm. So
Yeah, or you can trade with the Aegis and preserve the HP on the ward too
yeah,
if you need to.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, if you need to.
One thing about the Bahamut though, if you have the Bahamut and you have an Aegis on board, it just feels good. Like you can't Bahamut away your Aegis, you Bahamut away their entire
Yeah,
board.
exactly.
Hmm.
I put Bahamut on my Aven just because of that, because I was rage quitting playing against that. I was losing so much. I'm like, F this! I'm gonna play all the Bahamuts on my Aegis, and then I never drew Aegis into Bahamut ever,
My,
and
my
I just cried.
my favorite play has been Aegis on 9 into Aether on 10 into Noise on the same turn. Like it's so difficult to
And
interact with
then
that.
yeah, then you go face.
Or
Like, I don't care. You deal with it.
or
I just go
you if
face.
you're in like a racing situation, you can go curate and Noise in the same turn too. And it's just like, what are you gonna do about this?
Deal with it.
Hmm.
That we should call it the deal with it Aven deck.
Uh, if I
Just
if I
deal
ever have
with
to
it.
name it, the specific list I'm playing right now, I would just name it like cudgel dot deck or whatever. Something with cudgel in it because I had like gone through all the cards and like thinking about all of the cudgel like effects that I'm playing. I was initially playing two
Oh,
T times. I was playing three cudgels. I was playing three aethers that pulled my cudgels. I was playing so that's already with the three cudgels and then the three aethers, that's six cudgels, and then with the T times, that's eight, and then with your blackened scriptures, that's
oh wait,
11.
you're calling tea time a cudgel effect?
You wouldn't call that a cudgel.
What?
It's not a banish, but it's basically the
Okay,
same effect. It's like face cudgel.
it doesn't surprise me coming from the man that called what did you call it, Gino? You called a floral fencer Gino?
Yeah, Floral Fencer
Gino
is
that
evolved Gino.
requires an Evo. Yeah. You called it Gino that requires an Evo.
It's
You
evil.
call Latham?
It's Gino on the
Latham?
draw.
Yeah, you called something else a Gino that didn't make any sense. But yeah,
A Blitz.
I can
I
see
think it
your
was Blitz
cudgel
Lancer.
tea time being cudgel. No, but that makes sense though. It was something that didn't even have rush, I feel.
I think the one
It
that
doesn't matter.
the Gino comparison that I think bothered you the most was I was comparing Novice Trooper to Gino.
Oh
I
yeah.
called it face Gino.
Oh, speaking of novice troop,
Hmm.
the blood novice trooper is not being as impactful as I thought it was.
Because blood isn't impactful.
But look at the segue.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to unlimited,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard rumors. Well, not rumors. People told me that it's Bustarino, the new Savage Wolf, made aggro blood, and aggro vengeance blood just bonkers.
Well,
I think that had like 50, highly 50% win rate, high 50.
well, if you think about it, like the aggro blood lists, their 3 drops were always a little weird. I feel like they would play like Angel the Word, or they would play
Fights, yeah,
yeah, they would play Vite, or they would play the Angel that has Ward and gives 1 attack.
yeah,
And now they just have face pupper. They have face pupper
yeah,
2.0.
yeah. They can actually play the face papa deck. Face papa. They need a 4 play point storm follower. That's what they need.
So
And
I need a way to give
Papa-
my Soul Dealer Storm.
you have Laura.
Yeah,
She rotated.
Laura's
No.
gone. I would not. I would be playing
Oh,
control.
wait, Soul Dealer's gone, right?
Soul Dealer's gone. Yeah, I would be
How do
playing.
you feel about that?
I'm not. I'd say I'm not really happy about it, but like, it's not like I was winning games with Soul Dealer anyway.
Explain to me why are you not slamming unlimited games with your Soul Dealer deck?
Because I need to finish in rotation. That's literally it. Like once I'm done with once I get GM in rotation, I'm gonna be playing so much unlimited. It's gonna be so fun. And you know what's funny? I remember when rotation and unlimited got announced. I was saying I'm gonna play unlimited. This looks like the cooler expansion. And like,
Yeah.
but then when the day came, I was just like, I don't feel like playing against the same decks I've been playing against this whole time. I want to play this new format.
Yeah, because it's the new toy. I pretty much knew I was gonna play full on rotation.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I was gonna play unlimited again is when I was nostalgic and missing my Vengeance Blood. That's what I'm doing at the moment. Sometimes I miss it. I just go in queue like 2 games. I have like 1,000 something points on it because I queue in some Vengeance Blood games. I'm like, oh, this feels so good. This deck feels. I think that was my most refined deck. The deck I played the longest for, not the most amount of matches, but the longest. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
played it for like 5 months, something like that. So it felt every single card made sense in every scenario. I was prepared for every single scenario, and it just felt very good. Sometimes I miss that. I don't have a deck like that in rotation yet, so I'm just like I want perfection
Mm-hmm.
in my hands. I want to have every single turn feel good, and now with Face Puppet, it feels really good.
How have you been? So have you? I know you play a good amount of Take Two as well, right? So have you played much Take Two yet, or not yet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Not much, but I played 5 runs of Take Two. I've done 2 4-1s. I'm very sad I'm not being able to 5-0, but because people are getting insane decks, I don't know if they're becoming stronger players on Take Two, or it's just that the cards are just bonkers nowadays. But Portal Craft is very strong.
Is it?
That U1 came to be like I think it's replacing Urias on the top of the field actually.
Well, I guess like it sort of makes sense because Portal doesn't have too many cards to pull from, and since this is the first expansion with Portal around, they didn't want. I assume they didn't want to give Portal like, if many at all, they don't want to give them a bunch of garbage cards. So they are working with a very clean pool of cards right now.
Yeah, it's just Magna Legacy, insane, and you pull it so frequently because there's not a lot of legendaries for Portal Craft. You have 3 legendaries. Spinari is
And all
also
of them are
freaking
great.
good.
They're all great.
Yeah, Spinari. The only one that's not as good as I thought it would be is Deus Ex. Because you actually don't have a good way to. I actually lost. Oh, my 5-0 run was lost because I haven't drew myself. One game. My opponent played smart, but I was keeping myself out of resonance. But then my opponent didn't play a single forward. He actually passed their turn, and I couldn't suicide my stuff to draw an extra card to not overdraw. It was really smart.
That's a super heads up play.
Yeah. But that's the one I'm most hesitant about. But the rush artifacts, they're bonkers. Like 3-1 rush for 1 mana. What? Come on, get out of here.
You mean Artifact Geno?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And the ones that I prefer the most are the 3-1 rush and the analyzing art. That one is that one or the they're very good. The ones that draw you a card.
I re-
Radiant is also good, but it's too expensive sometimes.
the Radiant is 5 mana, right? It's 5 mana for a 5/4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. For yeah, 5/4 or 4/5?
I think it's 5/4.
4/3?
I think it's a 5/4.
I think 5 is too much. I don't think it has 5 attack. That's why I'm asking. But you can, yeah, I'll Google that. You
Okay.
can go ahead with your thought process.
Man, I don't have thoughts. That's where you're sadly mistaken.
It's a 4/3. Haha.
Oh, it is a 4/3. Interesting. I thought it was a
Thank
5/3.
you, Baragat. Baragat. That's a cool name. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, everyone in chat's just saying 4/3, proving me wrong.
Haha. Correct the man that loves to be corrected. So we're talking about Take Two. Portocraft came to he saw, he conquered,
Mm-hmm.
and also something that is very strong is Avencraft. The snakies, they're pretty good. When you have 2 followers that kill Bahamut's, they're pretty good.
Yeah, what's that card called?
I call it snakes. Those goddamn snakes on these goddamn planes.
Oh my god, it's got something with banquet, divine banquet, something banquet.
It's God Snake. I know it's not God Snake. It's chat, please. It's
I know it's got banquet
it's
in the name.
let's see.
God
Snake.
Scales Banquet. It's God Scales
Thank
Banquet.
you. I knew it was God something. It's not God Snake. It's God Skin. Thank you. So that card is okay. Let's talk about Aven. So we have that God Scale, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We got Heavenly Knight. Turns out when you get a 3/7 storm, that becomes a 7/7 ward. When your opponent has no evos, that is pretty good. That is very strong. And there was something else. Oh, the turtle is turtle. The turtle is very strong. If you go second, you
Mhm.
evolve not a priest, but you evolve the pinion prayer, the girl with the pinion prayer. What's the name of that?
Divine Birdkeeper.
Yeah, I made this play, so I played a turtle, and then I evolved the keeper, and then I had this nasty big board on my turn because he removed my bird song, and I have a turtle and a 2/1, and I played another follower and evolved, and he was always 1 follower behind because of the turtle. Turtle is pretty good. It's good tempo.
I like to call that card the Dirtle Turtle because I feel
Turtle.
because in Magic Dirtle is like an expression we use, and I remember like when you're doing like a whole lot of nothing, and I feel when you play that card, the first 2 turns it just comes down and does straight up nothing until
Oh
it hits the
yeah,
board, and then it's like, wait, no, I can't deal with this 5/7. What am I supposed to do about this?
exactly. Oh, and yeah, Aven is pretty exciting to play. I played Darkshot as well. You can get a lot of wins by surprising people with Darkshot because they don't expect to get like bursted for 4 damage on turn 6. I was actually playing this Aven deck. I called it Goblin dot deck because I screenshotted a hand that had goblin. What's the new goblin? The gold
Goblin
goblin.
Emperor.
Goblin Emperor, thank you. And he was playing Goblin Leader. So I had this handful of goblins and like Goblin dot deck. It's pretty good. It was good.
I reread Goblin Leader for the first time yesterday, and I didn't realize it had a second effect where it gave you a 1-drops rush. That's neat.
Oh, you mean Emperor? You called it Leader.
Oh, did I say leader? We got too many
Yeah.
goblins.
Oh, it's that's actually something weird that I found is that Goblin Leader and Goblin Emperor have no synergy at all because your goblins come at the end of the turn.
Mm-hmm. It's got some good synergy with like your fairies though.
I think it should be at the beginning of your turn, maybe. But then it would probably make Goblin Leader worse by itself, though.
Yeah. It's hard.
And then the rush is useless because they have Storm there at the beginning of your turn, anyways. So Maybe fanfare. Maybe Goblin Leader should be fanfare, summon a goblin,
But
and
then,
then at the end of your turn,
but then
you can make it a 1/2 again if you think it's too strong as a 2/3 and fanfare summon a goblin.
I don't know. Like I feel like it's just kind of awkward because they don't synergize with each other. But
Yeah.
the goblin, like you can still get the goblin princess and give your goblins rush and such. But
What else do you want to learn? Know about Take Two?
I want to
Anything
know,
else? You
what do you think the three best cards in Take Two are right now?
right
I'm gonna
now?
answer the first one for you as Bahamut, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it is. Tough question. That's tough for two reasons. First, because I'm not entirely sure of what rotated, so I can name a card that is not in Take Two anymore. Second of all, because I don't remember every single card at the top of my head. So let's see. Let's do something. Okay. Let's do like this. While you talk
Mm-hmm.
about whatever you want to talk, maybe plug in something. I'll think about it. Then I'll get to you. I'll give you your answer.
All right. So HD Knuckles in chat is saying Bahamut isn't even in Take Two. Is that true? I didn't know that.
No, it is. It's still in Take Two. Oh, maybe wait.
I know
Did they
they I
nerf?
know they recently announced that there were going to be cards taken away from Take Two. I don't know if that's in effect
But
yet.
those were the bad ones. The ones that are not synergistic. No,
Hmm.
it's still in. Rage of Bahamut is still in Take Two.
Well,
Oh, they removed it?
yeah,
Wow. Did
maybe
not. Okay, they didn't remove it on Grand Prix because people had it on WGB.
it could have been when Chrono Genesis came out that they did
Uh,
that. Well,
okay.
I
Well,
I
yeah.
thought Bahamut was still around. I don't know though.
Like I mentioned, I'm afraid of naming a card that is actually not on TikTok just because I haven't read the notes.
Mm-hmm. Well, go with you've given your disclaimer that you're not 100% sure of what's in.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll name them. So I'll think about it. I'll need a couple more.
How good is
Probably
Magna
not.
Legacy? I would imagine Magna Legacy is pretty strong.
Yeah, it's very strong. AOE effects are very good attached to bodies. So I'd say Magna Legacy is probably one of the strongest.
Lancer
Spinaria is very good.
Lancer of the
Lancer of the
Tempest.
Tempest is very good. Uh,
Hmm.
Israfil,
Cassiopeia, I would imagine, is pretty strong.
probably
Sometimes,
not.
depending on the right
The
deck,
hand
I would
size,
think.
yeah, the hand size is not that big for you to proc it. But I'd say Aaron is very good. But I think Thane, yeah, Immortal Thane. I'd say my strongest card outside of Bahamut is probably the Thane.
Really,
Yeah,
you
does
think
everything you need.
Thane is better than Ektar's?
Elia, by
Yeah,
far.
really.
First of all, because getting to 8 Necro is actually quite hard by turn 7. Second of all, because getting to 4 Necro is very easy for the White King, especially when Thane is 3 bodies by itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Thane, just because of the White King mostly, it's so difficult to deal with. And
And
it deals cheap damage. It's 3 bodies. It's very strong on stats. So I think it's one of the strongest cards.
and in Take Two, the bodies are like a little bit weirder too. So like the zombies might not be as good. I would think
Yeah.
from Ektar.
Yeah. Mostly because there's either a very big body or there's just very like some small. Most followers have like 5 2, 5 3s, something that's not that hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't imagine you. Ector is still strong, but I just feel that Thane accomplishes the same thing almost.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit
And
slower, I suppose.
I did lose to Ector
Mm-hmm.
because of the face damage, but yeah.
All right.
But
Well,
I think Thane is strong.
that's interesting. I'm definitely gonna have to like start cleaning up my Take Two play. Like, should probably
How
start
many
doing.
tickets do you have?
I've got myself right now. I have 55 Take Two tickets saved up. So
I got an idea.
Mhm.
What if we make a stream one day? We stream and we play Take Two.
Oh, we absolutely can. I was actually just gonna mention I'm probably gonna stream myself using at least 10, 20 of those tickets
Yeah,
because
I'm yeah.
Mhm.
I'm up for that. I'm probably gonna do the same on the week of on the week that the NGE comes to Take Two.
Mhm.
I'm actually gonna stream because I was actually the only time I streamed Shadowverse on a daily basis were for my Take Two challenges. I used to do Sponge Pedro knows because he was one of my viewers. He's actually my personal friend. I used to do a daily arena chain challenge. It's a complicated name, but it's easy to understand. So we basically start the day, we do the dailies, and we get about what 200, about 180 goals, something like that, enough to start an arena run. And then we go and chain arenas in a row with the prize gold from each arena. So we're not allowed to do anything else but to chain arenas. If we don't have enough gold to start another arena, the chain is broken, and
Mhm.
that's the score for the day. So my highest score was 11 chains. I played 11 arenas in a row, only with using like 170 gold
That's
from the
pretty
beginning of the
impressive.
day. Yeah, I had 3 5-0s on that day. It was quite good.
I could only imagine like with these 55-ish I think tickets I have right now, how many arenas I can actually get out of that. That's a lot of take two rounds.
That is 250 something games. Have fun.
Yeah, that's a lot of take two.
275 games if you have 55 tickets.
And you know, it's funny because I actually like when I first started playing Shadowverse, I genuinely enjoyed Take Two. Like I like it far more than I liked Arena and Hearthstone. Like Take Two, I thought like gave you
Oh
some
yeah.
really interesting decisions in your deck building. Where I thought like Hearthstone is just like, oh wow, I got an angry chicken, a wisp, and something else. What am I supposed to take?
Yeah, I enjoy picking two. I enjoy picking two cards rather than one
Hmm.
because first of all, it's faster. So when you want to queue up a lot of games, it's really cool. Also, only having to play 5 games instead of 12. Are you kidding me? 12 games just to collect my freaking like prize, and then like when you compare it to Hearthstone, 12 wins, the prize you get for 12 wins in a row it's the same prize you get for like 4 wins in Shadowverse when you compare the amount of games you have to play in order to get the same amount of rewards. It was insane.
Well, Blizzard, as you know, is very generous with giving away lots of things, like never giving away cards or never giving away anything.
Yeah, I got a 12 like what 5 or 6 months,
Hmm.
and I was so excited, and then I get like 100, 200 gold. I'm like, are you kidding me? I paid 150 to start the arena, and I get 200 gold and like a gold card and like a
You get like
pack. I'm like,
an
what?
animated bronze. Feels
Yeah,
good,
I'm like,
man.
are you fucking kidding me?
Meanwhile, that
Bro,
guy who went like 6-3, who posted on Reddit, got like a legendary, like an animated legendary and something else. But I think to we've been we haven't had we've been kind of like passing time a lot with what we've been saying the past 5-10 minutes. I don't know. We've had I think some great conversation. I think we covered a lot of topics today. Is there anything else you could think of that you want to talk about?
just well, if you guys have any questions at all, otherwise we can finish.
Yeah, chat. If you have any questions, we'll take like 30 seconds. Type them up. Just whatever you have to ask for us. Any
Speed
questions at
chat.
all? You can.
Let's do 20 questions in 20 seconds.
Oh my
Go go
god,
go go.
that's a lot of questions.
What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? What do you do on your free time? What do you?
Uh, Akamaru, is it true that you bark in the middle of the night? um,
Tier decks. Join our Discord. We will have all the tier decks you want.
um, I think
How
he's.
are you?
I think they're
Fine.
asking. I think they're asking. Like what do we think the best decks are in the format right
Yeah,
now?
I
Like,
know what he's asking. I'm just
yeah.
not giving it to him. I'm trolling him. You want tier decks? Build your own decks, you freaking noob.
Oh, Chrono asked a really good question. What is the meaning of life? I'm gonna give you the real simple answer right here, right now. King Elephant on 10.
I thought it was Star Phoenix on 3. Oh, you disappoint me. Oh, you missed the cue. You missed the big opportunity with that one. Your god is disappointing. disappointed.
I'm
You
sorry.
going to hell.
I'm sorry. I need to pray to the
Tier
Star
one,
Phoenix just a
I'd
little bit more.
say. Okay, no, seriously, Sponge. I'm sorry. Dragon Shadow
I think Forest
first,
is really
even.
good.
Yeah. Okay, so so seriously, tier one. Dragon, Haven,
And I would say Forest,
Forest.
yeah. I think that sounds good to me as tier 1.
Yeah, and I think Shadow. It's difficult. I think all the 4 classes are strong.
And
I need
then,
to get some elephant.
alright, what would be... Where do you think Daria is on the tier list? Where would you put her? Like, she's so weird. I feel like
Yeah,
that deck isn't completely figured out yet either.
I think it's difficult to give it a tier just because
I don't think it's been like fully fleshed out.
has it has disgusting curves, and some games just feel so weak though.
You know what card I find like I don't ever expect this card to actually be good in Daria, but there is a card, I think it's a 3 mana 2/2, and whenever you cast a Mysteria card, it puts a bunny corn on the
Oh,
field.
it's a yeah. I was gonna say it puts a pig on the board, but it's not a pig.
Yeah, it puts
The
a
bunny.
1/1 that when it dies it spell boosts everything in your hand. I think that card's cool. I don't know if that's a card's actually good. Just like weird
I don't know how many Mysteria cards can you actually play to get the bunny cord before the 2/2 actually dies.
the thing about the Mysteria cards is that they're expensive. Like the 3 mana 2/2 would need a live, and that's
Yeah,
not always the easiest thing. Like
that that doesn't happen in Shadowverse.
yeah,
You like 2/2 that have an effect do not live.
yeah. Like what cards can what card can you play? What Mysteria cards even exist? There's like
Knowledge.
yeah, there
The only thing I can think of, and you only get a bunny out of it, right?
yeah, and then there's
So you're playing a 4 play point 2/2 plus a one plus a 1/1.
if you get the effect, you're playing
Yeah.
3 mana for a 3/3 and a pretty reasonable effect. Like
No, because you need to spend mana on the. Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Because the 1 mana is not for the bunny. It's for the card
yeah,
itself. Sorry. Yeah.
and then they also have to remove the card that gives you the bunny corns, otherwise you're just gonna get more. But it's slow. It's slow. All right, so I
I,
think Mhm.
I think so. Yep. I think we're good to go.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we hit a lot of the topics we wanted to hit. Thank you guys all for joining us. Thanks for listening. We will be back next week with another episode of Shadowcast. I'm pretty glad. Like it seems like we might be. I don't want to jinx it, but it seems like we might be able to like consistently do this every week now, and I like this. I like
And
the cast.
I'm actually very happy for you guys to be here and interacting because it makes the podcast easier on us, and it also makes it entertaining for us and for you guys if you actually interact. I'm always checking chat for questions and for comments, and I sometimes I laugh at your comments. So I'm actually happy for you guys to be here. We appreciate it. We love you a lot for doing that. So
I mean, we do this for you guys, so like
can we? I guess we can tease a bit. Next week we probably talk about nerfs, right?
next week we're gonna
Probably.
be coming up to the end of the month. I assume nerfs happen at the end of the month. So yeah, I think we can talk about some cards that we think may or may not get nerfed.
Also, hit us with any subject you'd like us to talk about, to discuss. If you value our opinions, which you obviously do, otherwise you wouldn't be here listening to us. Ask us anything. Hit us up. You can check us on Twitter. Plugin. You can add me on Twitter at Akamarured Akamarured SV. I don't know my own Twitter. I'm sorry. And
I think
at
you're at
I
Aquamar Red
just
SP.
yeah, thank you. Post me. You can PM me, DM me, say, "Hey man, I'd like you to talk about Abyss Straddler. Can you talk about that? I'd like you to talk about anything you want, and we will talk about it." So
Okay, I got a question for you. Are you
go
ready
ahead.
for the day in like 2 to 3 expansions when Abyss Straddler is wrecking everything? When that is the metagame, it is tier 0. Nobody can deal with
I
Abyss Straddler.
I am dropping you secret information. Someone DM'd me about an Abyss Straddler deck. If I could make something work, and I'll be answering you. Once that meta comes, I will be ready.
Well,
Trust me.
well, I'm telling you, when that meta comes, I'm gonna be teching my Fall from Graces to deal with your Abyss Straddlers.
And I'll be ready by giving Storm with the new Shadowcraft card on the new expansion called Atlantis.
But it's too late because I already played Noise and I can only take 3 damage. Alright, guys.
But Noise rotates. Haha.
Does he? Wasn't Noise Wonderland Dreams?
Are we talking about 2 to 3 expansions?
Oh, you might be right. You might be right. Alright. You got me there. Alright, guys. Have a good night. Have a great week. And we will see you all next week. See ya.